So good afternoon, good morning. This is Mark Johnson from Loyalty 360. I hope everyone's happy, safe, and well. I wanted to welcome you back to our ongoing series, our series on customer loyalty called Leaders in Customer Loyalty. In this series, we talk to brand leaders about what they are seeing on the front lines of customer channel and brand loyalty. Today, we have a special edition. We are talking to some of the award winners in the recent Loyalty 360 Award program. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Erin Corrigan. She's the digital marketing manager at Donatos, which won silver at the recent Loyalty 360 Awards in the customer insights and metrics category. So how are you, Erin?
Great. How are you doing?
Good, good. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. For those who don't know about Donatos, can you give us a quick history of Donatos, all that you offer, and kind of what you guys do?
Sure. So Donatos was started in 1963 by a then 19-year-old Jim Grody on the south side of Columbus, Ohio. And he built his business on two main themes, which were basically the golden rule, so treating others the way he wanted to be treated. And this is reflected in the name Donatos, which is actually kind of a modification of the Latin for to give a good thing. And also the other principle he built the business on was product consistency. So making sure it's the same, the product's made right every single time. So 57 years later, we're a regional brand with 261 locations, and we're known for our premium edge-to-edge toppings on our famous thin crust pizza. Like, for example, there are 100 pieces of pepperoni on a large pepperoni pizza, which is pretty uncommon. And in addition to pizza, we have oven-baked subs, calzones, wings, salads, appetizers, desserts, and so on.
Okay, great. We also like to learn a little bit about those who are running the loyalty program. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, kind of what you do at Donatos, and maybe even a fun fact about you?
Oh, gosh. Well, let's see. I started out, when I came on board with Donatos, I started out primarily focused on email. And my role has shifted a little bit to be more about loyalty, user experience, and website feature function and app stuff. So it's kind of all over the place. And I tend to be sort of a Jill of all trades. When there's a marketing tech question, I'll jump in and try to find a solution, even if it's not always, it's sometimes a little bit MacGyvered together. And I will say, I like to travel, and I was so fascinated when I was in 6th grade. My teacher said she was on a bus in Europe on vacation one time eating an ice cream cone. And she was eating it when she entered Liechtenstein and was still eating it when they left. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe there's a country this small. So when I was studying abroad, which I got to Switzerland on 9/11, so that was like probably safest place in the world. So that was good. But I decided I was going to walk across Liechtenstein just to see how long it would take. And I didn't have a map or anything because it was 2001. I just got to the border and took off. And so it took 4 hours. It's not bad.
There you go, 4 hours. Okay, so that would I think you could eat ice cream if you were going 60 miles an hour, I would think, right?
Yeah.
15 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. All right. So you began the Donatos Pizza Love loyalty program, and I think you had a goal of acquiring 400,000 members and also increasing the average frequency. How are you doing in meeting those goals, and what do you see goals looking like going forward?
So we hit our 400,000 mark about 5 months into the program. So it showed us that there was really a demand, among our customer base for a rewards program. So that was really great to see. Now we are at about 725,000 members, and we're gearing up to do our first big push for membership since launch, and that'll happen later this year.
Okay, awesome. So your program actually asks kind of some personality questions, right? It gets why they sign up for the program, what information, obviously maybe what pizza they like. Can you tell us a little bit about the pizza personality and kind of what that does and how that helps you potentially with the personalization efforts at Donatos?
Sure. So this one has evolved a little bit. We started out, asking about really general interests, and we still do. It's just not part of the sign up process anymore. So it's a little bit more of an optional a way to earn bonus points. So we do still plan to use that information in various ways, but we're struggling to find the bandwidth to create content for all these different versions of everything. So, we've kind of scaled that back a little bit until, we've got some processes in place to better serve people and use that information. And right now we're focused on, identifying who self-identifies, for example, as a vegetarian, because, these are the people who will never buy a pepperoni pizza from us, but that's the default image for everything because it is the most popular product we have and because it is so unique with the amount of pepperoni that's on it. So, just trying to be more relevant, just starting with the most basic things like that is really how we're using it.
Okay, great. When you look at the program, I think one of the things that you talked about in the award submissions, you realize that not everyone kind of needs or wants a discount. I mean, how did you learn that from the data, and how do you kind of act on that? You even talked about actioning on the different data sets you have now, and that can be kind of challenging.
Sure. So even before we had a loyalty program, we had a popular flash program in place. And just looking at the redemption data from that, it was pretty clear that not everybody was using it all the time. I mean, there were probably a few people who, would use it several times a year, but on the whole, the average usage of it was like once a year per person or something like that. So it was, and then I think it was just of the people who were using it. So, we knew there were other factors at play. We've started experimenting with things like bonus points to see how that drives behaviors, things like getting people to order online more often or to order for pickup more often instead of delivery. We also recently did a test of various win back and re-engagement offers and emails, and one of the groups we sent to didn't receive an offer in the email. And it was really amazing to see that a lot of those people ended up coming back. I mean, it was almost as many as some of the offers that we sent out. Sometimes people just want to know that you value them as customers, or they just want to be reminded to come back. It doesn't always take an offer.
Okay. So when you look at the personalization efforts, you talked about kind of the pizza personality, zero-party data obviously is very, very important. Actioning on it is obviously very opportune as well. How do you look at those data points and kind of managing the audience, kind of the relationship you have with them, getting more of that zero-party data and work on personalization? How are you using that to enhance your program?
Well, we take the opportunities wherever we can find them to personalize all of our touch points. Some of them are easier to do than others. We recently upgraded our email program, so we're going to be doing a lot more in email now that we have the new platform. And of course, as we're looking again at our entire e-commerce experience this year, we'll be going through that. And of course, that's a much longer term project because of the development effort involved. But we rely a lot on our segmentation logic to get the right messages to the right people all the time, particularly with among our membership, because there are people at different levels of engagement. There are people that have answered a lot of questions for us, people who haven't. There are people that we can start to understand what their lives are like based on when they order and how they order and all those things. So it's really about identifying the best way to reach them and how to meet their needs when they're dealing with us.
Okay. Emotional loyalty, a lot of discussion around emotional loyalty right now in the industry, customer loyalty, obviously in the C-store industry, C-store and kind of QSR industry as well, very important. What does emotional loyalty mean to your brand, and how do you go about driving it and more importantly, measuring it?
Right. So, we're in an industry, the pizza industry, that lives and dies by offers. It's just people, the whole industry is just absolutely addicted to it, can't live without it. So that's an important piece of what we have going on. But I think it tends to lead us to kind of rely on this very easy to track cause and effect, send an offer, get some business sort of cycle. But we know that humans don't purchase rationally, and especially with food, because it's that's why comfort foods are a thing. If it's cold and rainy, I want somebody to bring me some pizza. And we see that, right? So, and the demand for convenience is increasing because life gets more and more complicated, et cetera, et cetera. And we've gotten lots of great positive feedback about our handling of COVID. And I think when people are grateful to you for treating them really well and actually caring about their well-being, that definitely drives that emotional loyalty. So we're looking more and more at engagement data across all of our various touch points. So from loyalty to email to SMS, our web content, social media, all those things, and to and how those engagement points relate to frequency and check size. There's a big focus this year on overall satisfaction also, which is a marker that we get from our feedback surveys, our post-order feedback surveys, and general customer sentiment as well. So yeah, we're looking to integrate that into more and more into everything that we do.
Okay, great. When you look at that emotional connection that you have with your customers, is that a positive thing or a kind of a negative thing? Some brands think that having such emotional customers makes the bar a little higher for them to achieve on their customer loyalty and customer experience efforts. Some actually think it's a benefit because they have good feedback. What about you? Is a net positive, net negative, somewhere in the middle, having emotionally engaged customers?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm someone who always views that as a positive for sure. I know when we send out member surveys, there are always comments in the responses that are simply, "This is the best pizza," or "I love Donato's." So that makes more work for me because I have to sift through all of it. So that part's not ideal, but it's another opportunity to just sort of take the temperature on the membership and just see, of the people who are engaged and paying attention and have some investment in what we're doing, and like they literally have an opportunity to say anything to us. Like that's what they choose to say, So, I mean, how can you not feel good about that, right? It's like they're feeling the love and we're feeling it back.
That's great. And it's actually a great pizza. Living in Ohio, we get it quite frequently. So that in one local place. So big fan. When you look at customers changing, big topic of conversation among marketers, customers changing, buy online, picking in store, depending on retail, or just curbside delivery, or even zero touch delivery like you have. How do you think your customers are changing during COVID, and even before that? How do you think customers are changing in general for your industry?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think just in all industries, customers are changing because it doesn't take long for the best experience to be the thing that everybody wants to emulate, and then it becomes the norm, right? I mean, think about trying to order something from online, whatever, and it would take 4 to 7 business days sometimes, or there'd be like a couple days to process it. Now we're all expecting everything to be here within 2 days or sometimes same day. And, it really wasn't that long ago that if you needed something that day, like you either had to go get it yourself or you were hiring a courier service. There was none of this stuff. We're so spoiled today. So, but, and that's the pandemic has really increased a lot of those things too, because there are so many features and stuff that they started out as a convenience and now they've become a necessity. So, for example, some of our locations, we're sort of in this like in between space where we're not like fast food, but we're also not like a sit down restaurant, an Italian restaurant or something like that, right? We're kind of in between. So but some of our restaurants had drive up windows before, so now we're having to adapt to provide curbside options also, and then make all of that available online too, so it's an easier experience for people. But it's definitely we're moving the needle on convenience for sure.
Okay, great. And how do you measure the success of your customer experience, customer loyalty efforts? What KPIs do you and your team look at?
I mean, we look at all the usual open rates and just engagement, adoption, sentiment, like all of those things. And especially for newer parts of the program, just to see how those are going. I mean, redemption is always a big thing. Frequency of visits, recency of visits, how is the breakdown, and like, does somebody come X many times a year, a week, a month, versus, how many people have we not seen in 90 days or more? How many people do we think we're never going to see again? That kind of stuff. And, then how is that different when you look at it through the lens of, is this person a member or not, right? So, obviously all of those metrics are a lot better for our membership, which is a good thing to see in our program. Be concerned if we didn't. But yeah, and then the one other thing is check size too, and the various platforms and access points and stuff like that.
Okay. What do you think the next big thing for customer loyalty or customer experience maybe for your brand?
So we're looking at adapting our program to adjust, to optimize some things based on various things that we've observed or learned over the last year. Obviously, again, it's a little bit weird because we're comping over COVID, but there are some things that I think are pretty important to note, even outside of the context of that. So yeah, but really we're going to be looking to do some simplifying and really improving communication with our members as much as we can, because those things, it's like you can do too much. There's such a thing as too much of a good thing, but if you're doing it right, it won't feel like too much.
Okay. When you look at kind of your marketing, customer loyalty efforts, growing the program as fast as you had, getting 725,000 so quickly, how are you seeing kind of the competitive landscape? How are you different than the competitive set, maybe in the pizza or in QSR? How do you see yourself as different?
Well, we always try to position ourselves as the premium brand that also delivers in terms of the pizza space, right? So, that's part of what sets us apart from, like, for example, the Domino's of the world, where, they're like, very much about the, coupon discount message and that kind of stuff. And we are, I think we've got a big franchise focus right now too. So we are very focused on, what should we be doing differently in markets where we're everywhere versus markets where nobody's ever heard of us, because they're very different things. So, I think there will be some sort of different experiences available for people who live in different places. And we're able to just kind of do bulk customization, I guess, of the program in that way as needed. So that's one thing that, I will say, like, our program is probably less cookie cutter than most others.
Okay. And what can Loyalty 360 do to help you with your customer experience, customer loyalty efforts in your journey?
I think, bringing brands together to learn from each other and share and, provide insights and ideas is really great. Providing the benchmarks and best practices are super helpful. I think, there are a lot of things that, we're probably all doing very similar research in a lot of ways. And I'm sure we all have the same screenshots of the Starbucks loyalty program on their app, and Domino's and Sephora and like all these other things. It's if there's a place to share all these things, that'd be super cool. Because there's, like, if somebody's already got them, why should you have to go get them? But yeah, no, I think, yeah, if there's any efficiencies to be had to continue the sharing, like, that's really key for this group.
Okay, great. Well, Erin, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today. I look forward to hearing more from Donato's in 2021, and congratulations again on your win in the Customer Insights and Metrics category.
Thank you.